everybody, back again, and if you've been watching the custom armor series that I've been doing, I've been making myself a set of chainmail light soldier's armor. Quote unquote light. But if you've been keeping up, I went to the Renaissance Fair on May 24th, this early spring, I guess, and I picked up a well-made, very, very well-made nasal helm. Completely hand-forged, hardened and tempered, with the padded inside. However, I also picked up a chain coif. Now, the reason I got this specific nasal helm is because it has rivet holes. What that means is we're going to take this coif and we're going to attach it into the helm, so they become one piece of armor. That way, when I'm donning the armor and taking the armor off, they come off as one piece. They stay together as one piece, and they don't move around in relation to each other. I'm going to go ahead and get all of those little holes filled with chain to attach this coif to this helm. In order to do this, I need something around the same size as my head radius-wise, and the top radius of this is about the same size as my noggin. We're gonna slide our coif on top of this. We also need something to bolster it up a little bit and give it more of a round shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and find something to do that with really fast. Now we're gonna go ahead and pop the helmet right on top. And I actually still have quite a few links left over from the original build of the chainmail body. So what we're going to do is use the existing links that I have to link the chainmail here, the coif, into the rest of the helm. And that's going to be as simple as link it through one of the chain links, put it through that hole, and crimp it down tight. I've now got a bunch of these links riveted together on the helm. Now what we're going to do is interlink all the links that we have holding the coif into the helm. So we've got it all finished up, so let's take it out of our little contraption here and take a look at what we've got going on. Let's try and put it on. So now, as you can see, we've got it hanging free from the helmet instead of my neck. You can see that it fits quite comfortably now. So now that I got the coif chained in, we're going to go ahead and start cutting up this pot lid, which is about the right thickness of stainless steel, to attach to the front of this to create a liftable visor to make this have more face and neck coverage. I'm just going to use a nice ball peen to gently encourage it straight. Now we can go ahead and start to shape the curve. And I'm just going to use this little tool right here. This Hardy tool's got a nice crux to it. And I'm just giving myself a nice layout line of where I want to bend this. Now I can come over to the horn and start to actually shape it a little bit. now, this is what we're looking at. We've still got refining to do. We've still got some cleanup work to do, some extra shaping to do, things of that nature for this lower section. But right now, it doesn't open yet. I am going to eventually cut these screw bits off and just leave these flowery heads on here as well. So that's going to make a big difference. But it's coming along well. Now, the next major thing is to get this flared enough to where this can come up the rest of the way. So now that we've got the visor functional, where it's easy to lift, it's nice and even at the top, like a hat. Now we're gonna work on bringing these cheeks in more. I'm gonna bend these in more, tighter to the face. So that way we have that way it's not sticking out so far in front of the head. Because right now it's sticking out pretty far from here, and I want to bring these in a little bit. So we've got some progress made on the helm, as you can see. We've got the visor squared off on the sides, as well as on the cheeks, so it doesn't sit so far out in front of the head. So overall, the helm is much more helmet-like. Now we can go ahead and start to do the modifications to this that are going to make it have its final shape. That's going to be doing some bends here to bring this down towards the face a little more, as well as doing some cuts around the mouth. So I'll get back to you guys here in another second once we've got this bit changed up how we want it. So now we've got more shape to our helm here. As you can see, we now have good protection on the sides of the face. The coif and the metal kind of meet up there to create a barrier around the throat. As well as down here, it stops things from coming at the throat so much, kind of going to deflect them down and away into the coif. So we have some decent facial and throat protection with a full closed visor. We've got jaw protection, ear protection, all that jazz. So this gives us quite a bit more strength to the helm. It gives us a lot more protection in the helm, and the visor still locks in the open position. It's still even, and I can actually see quite well out of this. Looking around, it's just like I'm wearing a baseball cap. It's going to cover my face, kind of give me some shade, but it also still gives me some facial protection. In case something does come in the face, I still have some form of facial protection. I've got the pretty nice visor here, and yeah, not bad for a couple hours of improvement. So the next step is going to be cutting the threads off these bolts I have and bending these florets out flat, so that way they look like decorative rivets almost, which they're not. They are bolts. I kind of cheated. I didn't use rivets. Forgive me. But it just makes it easier for me to be able to have this articulate. And nobody's going to be able to tell at the Ren Fair from a distance or even up close once I get those cut how I make this actuate. It's just going to look really cool. The way it works is it catches at the top of the visor here. So that's where it's hooking when it's in the up position. And then when it's in the down position, it's just locked in by the shape of the rivets themselves. And we've got the coif built into it. Now all I need to do is get some fabric up inside of this. I'm thinking about going and just buying a cloth coif. So after we cut these pins, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut some breathing slits, drill some breathing holes in this guy just to make it a little more lifelike, a little more cool looking, possibly give it a little more shape, and then we'll be all done. See, I've cut some ventilation slits and cut some vent holes in, drilled some vent holes in, I should say, and I've nipped off those bits up here and here, so we just have our florets sitting out there for aesthetics, because just makes it look cool having those little florets on there. They're nice little accent pieces. These loops will eventually hold some chain link. I'm going to have just a little bit of chain link under the eyes, just for aesthetic purposes, because that's how I want it. But the next thing I'm going to do is take this Dremel head on this drill and accent these vents a little bit more, and maybe the holes here as well. All right, so here we are. Now that we've got everything drilled out, much better looking. The holes and ventilation holes, let's angle this up a little more. The vent holes and everything give it a little bit more life, make it look a little more lifelike, a little more appropriate, and it gives you the sense of a bearded helm. From the side, if I'm standing up straight, I'm not giving you much room to strike at my throat, and it's bent down on both the sides here and at the base. So as you can see, it conceals my face very well. There's very, very little gap here. It still allows me to look down without moving the helm or compromising my vision. So that's nice. And I actually have really clear vision here. It's kind of hard to express, but since this goes right between the nose and this is so far down the peripherals and it's open in the peripherals, I can see pretty much everything around me, which is awesome. Yes, there is a little distortion down the center, a little blind spot in the center, we can say. But overall, I can see a lot better than I thought I'd be able to. And it locks up in place just perfectly. But all in all, this helmet turned out great, especially for being just a pot lid and a nasal helm. I still retain the nasal helm, just with a visor, essentially, which still gives me a pretty good field of view. My vision is a little bit stopped from here, so I can see everything, but right about here, there is a blind spot above my head. But as soon as I close that, that blind spot goes away, and I actually have a better field of vision with it closed. With this, it's more when I'm walking around and I'm looking at things, and I don't want to be bumping my neck with this, because I can kind of rub it on my chest and shoulders, so it does limit my downward looking a little bit when I have this on the downside. But on the upside, we've got a really nice design. Now that I've got the helm figured out, I'm gonna go and grab the rest of my armor, put it on, and put this on to show you guys what everything looks like all together. So here we are with the full armor set. We've got some chainmail right under the eyes here to prevent stuff from striking and sliding up into the slit here, as well as these hook tails on the sides to prevent things from coming up and in here. We've got the pauldrons, the aventail, which offers extra prevention of slashing against the throat and things like that. And we've got the aventail around the back to cover any gap in the back and make it harder to get stabbed in the back, shall we say. This helmet is a visor helm, so it sits up and is a nasal half helm when opened, which allows me much more freedom of vision. I'm less restricted, I'm less heated up, but it can be pulled down for a battle helm if necessary. So, since I was at the Renaissance Fair and I was able to pick up this aventail and this half helm, I was also able to use existing materials that I already had to sew in the chainmail all the way around, as well as the extra chain right here for protection. This was the other half of the pot lid for one of these pauldrons. So the armor set is coming together piece by piece, bit by bit. And that does it for today's video. If you guys like what you've seen, do me a favor and do that thing right there. And until next time, God bless, stay sharp out there. If you're looking for a custom knife, sword, polearm, or whatever, check out the Etsy store. Link will be at the end of the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.